I was standing in my wedding dress when Daniel placed his hand on the Bible. His voice didn't shake. His eyes didn't blink. "I swear to God, Emily, I never touched your sister." Lauren stood beside him, her hand on the same Bible, nodding like she was in church. "I swear it too. This is insane." My bridesmaids watched from the doorway. My mother sat on the bed, wringing her hands. My father cleared his throat like he wanted to say something, but never did. I felt my entire body shaking, but their hands were steady, perfectly steady. They looked at me like I was the problem, like I was the one causing drama 3 days before my wedding. The rumor had come from Daniel's coworker, a woman named Vanessa who barely knew me. She'd pulled me aside at the rehearsal dinner and whispered, "I'm so sorry, but I saw them together. At the Riverside Hotel, they were kissing." I'd felt my stomach drop. Now, standing here watching them swear on the Bible, I felt something worse. I felt alone. I looked around that room, searching for someone to believe me. My maid of honor, Becca, stared at her shoes. My cousin twisted her bracelet. My mother said softly, "Emily, honey, maybe you misunderstood." My father added, "Daniel's a good man. Lauren's your sister. This is cold feet talking." Cold feet. Like I was imagining betrayal, because I was nervous about marriage. Daniel stepped closer, his face the picture of wounded innocence. "Baby, I love you. Only you. I would never do this." Lauren's eyes filled with tears. Real tears. You're my sister. How could you even think that?" I stood there in white lace and French silk, feeling like a fool. Everyone waited for me to apologize, to take it back, to smooth everything over so the wedding could happen. And I almost did. I almost said sorry for doubting them. But something in Lauren's face, just for a second, looked like victory. I saw it. Then it was gone. My name is Emily Torres. I'm 32 years old, and I married Daniel anyway. Not because I believed them. Not because the Bible meant anything when liars held it. I married him because I wanted to believe I wasn't the kind of woman who got replaced by her own sister. I wanted to believe that love was louder than instinct. So I walked down that aisle 4 days later, smiling for 200 guests who had no idea what happened in that bedroom. I said I do, while Lauren stood beside me in lavender chiffon, holding my bouquet. I kissed Daniel while my gut screamed that something was wrong. People called it a beautiful wedding. I called it the beginning of the longest lie I ever lived. But I didn't know yet that lies have expiration dates. I didn't know that truth doesn't stay buried forever. I just knew I felt watched instead of loved, and I was too scared to admit it. The wedding photos looked perfect. Daniel dipping me in front of the fountain. Lauren fixing my veil with a soft smile. My parents dancing under string lights. Everything was flawless on camera. But I remember standing at the reception, watching Daniel and Lauren talk by the bar. They stood too close, laughed too easily. When I walked over, they stopped mid-sentence. "What were you talking about?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "Just thanking her for everything," Daniel said, kissing my temple. "She worked so hard on this wedding." Lauren smiled. "You looked so beautiful today, Em. I'm so happy for you guys." I wanted to believe her. I wanted the ache in my chest to be paranoia. So I smiled back and drank champagne until I stopped noticing how often they looked at each other. That night, Daniel fell asleep before I even took off my dress. I sat on the edge of the hotel bed, still in my gown, wondering if I'd just made the biggest mistake of my life. After the honeymoon, Lauren never really left. She came to our apartment 3-4 times a week, sometimes more. Daniel said she was helping us settle in, that she was just being a good sister. But she had keys. She knew our schedule. She'd show up when I was at work and rearrange things. New towels, different coffee, a lamp I didn't pick. "Lauren thought this would look better," Daniel would say, like it was normal. When I got pregnant 6 months later, she insisted on coming to every doctor's appointment. "I want to be there for you," she said, squeezing my hand in the waiting room. But she sat between me and Daniel. She asked the questions I should have asked. She held the ultrasound photos first. I started feeling like a guest in my own life, like I was watching my marriage happen to someone else. And whenever I said anything, Daniel acted confused. She's just excited. Why are you being weird about this? Small things started piling up. Daniel's phone face down on the counter. Deleted message threads that used to be there. Late nights at the office that smelled like perfume, not work. Once, I found a receipt for dinner at a restaurant we'd never been to. 2 entrees. 2 glasses of wine. "Client meeting," he said without looking up. But I'd seen his calendar. There was no meeting. I didn't argue. I just took a photo of the receipt and saved it in a hidden folder on my phone. I started noticing patterns. Every Thursday, he came home late. Every Sunday, Lauren had an excuse to stop by. I began writing things down, dates, times, conversations that didn't add up. I didn't know what I was building yet. I just knew I needed proof of something I couldn't name. My friends said I was overthinking. My mother said pregnancy hormones made women paranoid. But my gut knew better. When the pregnancy test came back positive, I cried in the bathroom for 20 minutes. Not from joy, from fear. I felt trapped. Like I'd locked myself into a life I didn't choose, with a man I didn't trust. In a family that felt like strangers. Daniel seemed happy at first. He told everyone, posted it online, bought a crib before I even had my first ultrasound. But he didn't hold me at night. He didn't ask how I felt. He just kept working late, kept letting Lauren hover, kept making me feel invisible. I started documenting everything. I opened a separate email account he didn't know about. I forwarded screenshots. I saved voicemails. I photographed receipts, calendars, and text previews. I didn't know why yet. I just knew I needed evidence. Evidence of what? I wasn't sure. But something was coming. I could feel it in my bones. One morning, Daniel left his phone on the kitchen counter while he showered. I didn't plan to look, but the screen lit up with a calendar alert. Riverside Hotel, 8 p.m., Elle's birthday dinner. My heart stopped. The Riverside Hotel. The same place Vanessa saw them before the wedding. And Elle didn't stand for client. It stood for Lauren. Her birthday was in 3 days. I took a photo of the screen with my own phone. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped it. When Daniel came out, towel around his waist, he saw me staring. "What's wrong?" he asked. I handed him his phone. "You have a meeting on Thursday." He glanced at it and laughed. "Oh yeah, Lauren wanted to celebrate her birthday early. She invited a few people. You're welcome to come if you're feeling up to it." He said it so easily, so casually, like I was supposed to believe him. I smiled. "I'm really tired. You go." He kissed my forehead. "You're the best." I saved the screenshot in 3 places. At dinner that week, I brought it up gently. Just testing. "I saw you're celebrating Lauren's birthday at the Riverside." Daniel nodded, cutting his steak. "Yeah, she loves that place." I paused. "That's the same hotel Vanessa said she saw you 2 at before the wedding." Lauren, sitting across from us, froze for half a second. Then she laughed. Are we really doing this again? That was a lie. We proved it." Daniel sighed, putting down his fork. "Babe, you're doing this while you're pregnant? You're stressed. You're hormonal. This isn't healthy." I felt my face flush. "I'm not crazy." "No one said you were," Lauren said softly, reaching for my hand. "But you keep bringing this up, and it's starting to hurt." Her eyes filled with tears. Real tears. Again. Daniel stood up. "I think you need rest." I sat there, staring at my plate, while they exchanged a look I wasn't supposed to see. I apologized. I actually apologized. Then I went upstairs and turned on the voice recorder on my phone. I wasn't crazy, I was collecting. I stopped reacting after that. I smiled. I nodded. I played the role they expected. But I was watching. Every move, every word, every glance. I started screenshotting Daniel's location history when he left his phone unlocked. I photographed credit card statements when they came in the mail. I recorded conversations when they thought I was napping. I opened a bank account they didn't know about. I kept copies of everything in a cloud folder with a password only I knew. I didn't tell anyone. Not my mother. Not Becca. Not even my doctor. I just gathered evidence like I was preparing for a trial I didn't know was coming. And the crazy thing? They had no idea. They thought I'd given up. They thought I believed them. They got comfortable. And that's when people make mistakes. I gave birth on a Tuesday in October, 15 hours of labor. Daniel missed the first 8 because he was stuck in traffic. Lauren showed up before he did, holding flowers and a stuffed bear. She stayed in the delivery room. She held my hand. She cut the umbilical cord when Daniel didn't move fast enough. When the nurse handed me my daughter, Isla, I felt a love so big it hurt. But I also felt something else. I looked at Daniel, holding his phone, texting someone. I looked at Lauren, cooing at Isla like she was hers. And I felt rage. Not loud, not explosive, cold. They were still doing this, even now, even here. Lauren held Isla longer than she should have. She whispered things I couldn't hear. Daniel barely looked at me. I was bleeding. Exhausted, vulnerable, and they were in their own world. I cried that night, not from pain, from clarity. 2 weeks later, we took Isla for her newborn screening. Routine tests, blood type, metabolic panel, standard procedures. The pediatrician called me 3 days later. "Mrs. Torres, we need you to come in. There's a follow-up needed on Isla's blood work." My stomach dropped. "Is she okay?" "She's healthy," the doctor said carefully, "but there's a discrepancy we need to discuss in person." I went alone. Daniel was at work. The doctor sat across from me, hands folded. "Isla's blood type is AB positive. You're O negative. Daniel's listed type is A positive." She paused. "That combination isn't genetically possible." The room spun. I heard her voice, but the words blurred. She was saying something about retesting, about lab errors, about paternity, but I couldn't breathe. I walked out of that office, sat in my car, and stared at the paper in my hands. The proof I didn't want. The answer I'd known all along. I didn't call anyone. I didn't scream. I just drove home, put Isla in her crib, and sat on the couch staring at nothing. The test results were in my purse. Definitive, clear, impossible to deny. Daniel wasn't Isla's father, and there was only one other person it could be. I thought back to the timeline, the wedding, the honeymoon, the months after. I'd gotten pregnant 10 months after we married, but Daniel had been distant, traveling, working late, and Lauren had been everywhere. I pulled out my phone and opened the hidden folder. Screenshots, receipts, calendar alerts, voice recordings. I had 2 years of evidence, and now I had biology. They couldn't swear on a Bible this time. They couldn't cry their way out. They couldn't call me paranoid. I finally had the truth, and I was going to use it. I waited until they were both at the house. Daniel came home from work. Lauren stopped by with groceries, like always. I asked them to sit. They looked at each other, confused. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just slid the medical report across the table. "Isla isn't Daniel's daughter," I said calmly. "The blood work proves it." Daniel's face went white. Lauren's hands started shaking. For the first time in 2 years, they didn't have an answer. Daniel picked up the paper, reading it over and over like the words would change. Lauren whispered, "This is a mistake." I looked at her. "No? You are." Daniel put his head in his hands. Lauren stood up, backing toward the door. I stayed seated. I didn't move. "You swore on the Bible," I said. "You both did." Neither of them spoke. The silence was louder than any confession. I smiled. Not from happiness, from relief. I finally had them. It took an hour, but they finally broke. Daniel admitted the affair started 2 months before the wedding. Lauren admitted it never stopped. They said it was a mistake, that they were lonely, that it just happened. Daniel cried. Lauren cried. I didn't. "You lied to my face," I said. "You made me feel crazy." "We didn't mean to hurt you," Lauren whispered. "You slept with my husband and swore on the Bible. You came to my hospital room and held my baby like she was yours." I stood up. "She is yours." Lauren's face crumpled. Daniel reached for me. I stepped back. Don't touch me. Something inside me had died that day. The part that wanted to fix this. The part that believed in family. But something else was born too. Something harder. Something that wouldn't forgive. I looked at them both. You're going to regret this. Then I walked upstairs, locked the door, and called a lawyer. I didn't leave that night. I didn't scream or throw things. I just went to bed. The next morning, I woke up, fed Isla, and made a list. First, I called Amanda Pritchard, a divorce attorney my coworker recommended. She listened to everything. Then she said, "Do you have proof?" I sent her the folder. All of it. 2 years of screenshots, recordings, receipts, and medical records. She called back an hour later. "Emily, this is airtight. We can file immediately." Second, I opened a new bank account and moved half of our savings. Legal, clean, documented. Third, I called my landlord and asked about breaking the lease. I wasn't staying here. Fourth, I contacted a family lawyer about custody. Isla deserved better than this. I moved quietly. No announcements, no confrontations, just strategy. Daniel and Lauren had no idea what was coming. They thought tears would fix this. They were wrong. Daniel noticed the shift by the weekend. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't crying. I was just cold. He tried to talk to me, brought me flowers, apologized 100 times. "Emily, please, I'll do anything. I love you." I didn't respond. I just kept packing. Lauren called, sobbing. "Em, I'm so sorry. I'll leave. I'll never contact him again. Please." I didn't answer. I blocked her number. They started love bombing, texts, voicemails, gifts. Daniel bought me a necklace. Lauren sent a handwritten letter. They were panicking. They could feel me slipping away. But I wasn't slipping. I was walking, with my daughter, with my evidence, with my dignity. Amanda filed the divorce papers on Monday. I signed everything. Clean. Final. No room for negotiation. Daniel would be served at work. In front of everyone. Just like I wanted. Daniel was served divorce papers at his office on a Wednesday afternoon. His coworker texted me a photo. He'd gone pale. Hands shaking. Everyone staring. Lauren found out an hour later. She called me 17 times. I didn't answer. By that evening, my family group chat was exploding. My mother. "Emily, what's going on?" My father. "Call us? Now." My aunt. "Is this about Daniel?" I didn't respond. I posted one sentence on my private social media. "After 2 years of lies, I have proof. I'm done." That's it. No details. No names, just that. Within an hour, people were messaging me. "What happened? Are you okay? Do you need anything?" I didn't answer anyone. I let them wonder. Let them ask Daniel and Lauren. Let them scramble for a story. I had the truth. I didn't need to explain it. Lauren posted vague quotes on social media. People don't understand the full story. Forgiveness is divine. Daniel posted nothing. But his mother called me, screaming, "You're destroying my son over a misunderstanding." I hung up. My own mother showed up at my apartment, demanding answers. I showed her the medical report. She sat down hard. "Oh, Emily." "Yeah," I said. My father called Lauren. She cried, denied, played victim. He didn't believe her. For the first time, someone was on my side. My cousin posted publicly, "Some people fake tears while destroying families. You know who you are." Lauren deleted all her social media that night. Daniel's coworkers started avoiding him. The rumors spread fast. I didn't add fuel. I didn't need to. The truth was doing the work. Amanda called. "They want to settle, avoid court." I smiled. "No, I want everything on record." The courtroom was quiet. Cold. Daniel sat across from me, looking smaller than I remembered. Lauren wasn't called to testify, but she was mentioned in every document. I submitted timelines, screenshots, voice recordings, medical records proving Isla's paternity. Amanda presented everything methodically, calmly. Daniel's lawyer tried to argue, tried to claim I was bitter, vindictive, But the evidence didn't lie. The judge read through it all, looked at Daniel, looked at me. This is one of the clearest cases of infidelity and deception I've seen. Daniel didn't fight for custody. He didn't fight for assets. He just signed. The divorce was finalized in 40 minutes. I walked out of that courtroom with full custody, half of everything we owned, and my dignity intact. Daniel walked out with nothing, not even Lauren. She'd stopped answering his calls 2 weeks earlier. Daniel lost his lease, had to move into a smaller apartment across town. His co-workers whispered. His friends stopped calling. Even his own mother started asking questions he couldn't answer. Lauren got fired from her job, not officially for the affair, but her boss was friends with my cousin. Funny how that works. She moved back in with our parents. They barely spoke to her. Family gatherings didn't include her anymore. People picked sides. Most picked mine. I didn't gloat. I didn't post. I didn't send messages. I just watched from a distance as everything they built on lies crumbled under the weight of truth. Daniel texted once. "I'm sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I am." I didn't respond. Sorry doesn't raise a child. Sorry doesn't undo 2 years of gaslighting. Sorry is just a word people use when they're caught. Lauren reached out 6 months later. A long email, full of apologies, regret, tears probably. I destroyed everything. I know that. I hate myself. I just want you to know I'm sorry, Em. I love you. I read it once. Then I deleted it. Forgiveness isn't something you owe people who hurt you on purpose. Closure doesn't require a conversation. Some doors stay closed. Some people stay gone. That's not bitterness. That's protection. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. My life was moving forward. Hers was stuck in the wreckage. That was consequence, not cruelty. A week later, my mother told me Lauren was in therapy. "She's really struggling, Emily. She's your sister." I looked at my mother. She stopped being my sister the day she slept with my husband. My mother didn't argue. Some betrayals don't heal. Some people don't deserve another chance. A year later, I heard Daniel and Lauren tried to make it work. Moved in together. Tried to build something real from the affair that destroyed everything else. It lasted 3 months. Relationships built on betrayal don't survive daylight. He started drinking. She started blaming him. They broke up ugly, screaming in parking lots, blocking each other online. Mutual friends said it was brutal. I didn't feel sorry for them. I didn't feel anything. They made their choices. They lived with the consequences. I'd moved on. New apartment, new routines, new life. Isla was walking now, talking, laughing. I didn't date, didn't trust easily. But I wasn't broken. I was free. And that was worth more than any apology they could ever give. I'm 34 now. Isla just turned 2. We live in a small house with a backyard and a garden I planted myself. I work from home. I have friends who actually show up. I laugh again, real laughs, not the fake ones I used to wear like armor. Some nights, I think about the girl who stood in a wedding dress, shaking, while 2 people swore on a Bible and lied to her face. I wish I could tell her she was right, that her instincts were screaming the truth, that she should have walked away. But I also know she wasn't ready. She needed proof. She needed to see it undeniable and ugly before she could leave. So I don't regret marrying him. I regret nothing, because that pain taught me something important. I learned to trust myself. I learned that silence can be stronger than screaming. I learned that the truth always comes out. Always. They swore on the Bible and still lost everything. I trusted too late, but not forever. Daniel lives alone now. Lauren barely speaks to our family. Isla doesn't ask about them. She won't remember them. She'll grow up knowing her mother fought for her, chose her, protected her. People ask me sometimes if I'm bitter. If I'm angry, I'm not. I'm free. They're still stuck in the mess they made. I'm building a life they'll never touch. That's not revenge. That's victory. So if you're reading this and wondering if you should trust your gut, here's my answer. Yes. Trust it. Document it. Protect yourself. Don't wait for a Bible or a baby or a courtroom to prove you were right. You already know. And when the truth finally comes, and it will, you'll be ready. I was. And I won.